Hello, this is your homework helper for your assignment on methods of solving equations. So I'm going to go ahead and start back on the substitution. I did skip 1 through 4 on the graphing. If you need more help with that, I can help you, but I want to do some of the new stuff, which is substitution. So again, let's talk about how this works. And I want you to think about if you had the equation y equals 7x minus 4, and I told you that x was equal to 2, and I said find the y, then hopefully you would remember that you would put the 2 for the x, and then you would just simplify. So in this case, y would equal 10. Okay, that's called a substitution. Now, the other thing that we could do on here is I could tell you, okay, if y was, let's say, 4, and I want you to find x. So if y is 4, then we would put the 4 for the y, and then we would solve. Okay? So it's the same thing here that we're doing, except y is not just a simple number. Y is actually this expression. So all I'm going to do is take and put that expression for the y, okay? Because y is 4x minus 1. And so I put that in as a substitution, okay? Now from there, this is just going to be a solving of equations. So I'm going to just do my normal solving by subtracting 7 from both sides and then simplifying, adding the 1 to both sides, dividing off the 3, and x is equal to 1. Now the only thing is here is I'm not just wanting x, I need the point. So I need x and y, both of those. So I know that x is 1, so I'm going to go back up to my original equation, and you could actually do either equation. I'm just going to do the top one. And I'm going to put a 1 in for the x because that's what that said, and I'm going to simplify. And so y is 3. And so the way you write this is as the point 1, 3 as your final answer. Okay? So I'm going to do number 6. If you take a minute and pause and try to set it up on your own, why don't you try that first? Okay, so again, we know that this is what y is, and so I'm just going to put it right where the y is at. Okay, so that's my substitution. The rest of it is just solving my equation. Okay, so I added the 2x over. Now I'm going to add the 16. So x is 5. Again, that's my first step. Now again, we're going to take this back up to the original equation, and I am going to put that for the x. Okay, so I know that y is a negative 2x plus 9. I know that x is 5, so I'm going to put a 5 in the position where the x was. That's going to give me a negative 10 plus 9, so y is a negative 1. Okay, again, we write this as a point, 5, negative 1. That's my final answer. Okay, so we're going to do one just a little bit more difficult, and what you'll see on this one is that, again, I know what y is, and here is my y in my equation. So again, I am just going to substitute that x minus 8 for the y. Now it is times 2, so I need to do a parenthesis so that I can do a distributive property. So anytime you substitute in that y and it's multiplied by something, you need to, don't forget to parentheses and distributive property. So I'm going to go ahead and solve with a distributive property. I'm going to get a negative 2x plus 16 equals a negative 1. Now in this case, when I add 2x minus 2x, that's 0. So these actually, we say, cancel each other out. And I'm going to get 16 equals a negative 1. Well, I know that's not ever going to happen, and so we say this is a no solution. What that would mean, if you graph those, you would mean that you have parallel lines. Okay? Now you don't have to tell me that. Your answer is simply no solution. Okay, so take a minute and see if you can do number 8 on your own, get it set up, and then again, I will help you out. So pause the video. Okay, so again, we know that this is what y is, so I'm just going to put it right there where the y is at. Okay, and if you have a highlighter, I don't think it hurts to do exactly what I just did and highlight. So again, I'm just going to substitute for that y. You see this orange spot. I'm going to put that in. Again, there is a 3 out in front. So it's 3 times everything that the y is. So again, I'm going to need to do a distributive property. So I get 4x plus 9x minus 15 equals 24. So now these are like terms. They're on the same side. I'm just going to put them together. Okay. I'm solving for the x, so I need to move the 15 over. Okay. And I'm going to divide both sides by 13. So x is 3. Again, that is just my x. I need to go back up to my original equation. Again, it doesn't matter which one, but since the first one is solved for y, I'm actually going to use that. That would be the easiest. So I know x equals 3, so I'm just going to put that 3 for the x. So y is a negative 9 plus 5, so y is equal to a negative 4. Okay, so my answer would be 3, negative 4. Now be sure you do put that in the order of x, y. Okay, now number 9 and number 10. One of the things that you're going to notice about them is neither one of them say y equals or x equals. Okay, and so what we want to do is we want to rewrite one of these equations so that it is either y equals or x equals. Now, how do I know which one to do? Well, really you can do any of the variables you want, but what I look for is one that has the number 1 out in front. So since the x here has the 1 out in front, that's what I want to solve it for. Okay, so I am going to take that first equation and I'm going to solve it for this x. Okay, in order to do that, I would move the y over. Okay, and now I have the 1x. Now, just like the other equations that we did, we now know what x is. And the others, we knew what y is, but now we know what x is. And so what you need to do is go to your other equation, okay? Because remember, this first one in blue was your first equation up there. I'm going to take that negative 5y minus 2, and I'm going to put it right where that x is. Okay, so I have 5 times x. Well, that x is this right here. Okay, and now I'm going to distribute. okay? I'm going to combine my like terms. So these two are my like terms. They're on the same side, so I just combine them. Okay? And then I need to, I was just double checking something here because something didn't look right, but I need to just combine those. So move the x over, or the number over. So I get negative 22y equals 0. And if I go ahead and divide by the negative 22, of course, anything, 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay? So there is my y. Now I'm going to go back to one of my originals. Okay? So I'm going to come back up here, and you choose either one of these. It doesn't matter. I can choose either the first one, or I can choose the second one. And I'm going to put that y equals 0 in. Now I'm going to go ahead and choose the first one because I think it is simpler. So this is my equation I'm choosing. I'm going to put the y equals 0 in for the y. Okay, so 5 times 0 is just 0, so I get x is a negative 2. So again, my final answer is the x and then the y. Okay, so look at this one, and which variable do you think you're going to solve for? So again, I'm going to go with one of these because both of these have a coefficient of 1. Now, personally, I would probably solve for the y because it has a positive 1. Okay, but you can decide. So go ahead and choose. Like I said, I would go with the first equation. I would solve it for this y. So I would pause the video and make sure you can get that solved. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add x over. So y is x plus 1. Okay. Now again, remember this is what y is. So I'm going to put it right here in the other equation for y. Don't put it back into this equation, okay? Go put it into the other one. So I have 2 times x minus 2 times my y, which is x plus 1. So 2x minus 2x minus 2 equals a negative 2. I'm going to combine. These are on the same side, so 2x minus 2x is just 0, so we say those cancel. I get a negative 2x equals negative 2 equals a negative 2. We know that is true all the time. So this is what we call infinitely many solutions. Okay? What we mean by that is that if I graph it, I'm going to get a line, and then what's going to happen is when I graph my second one, it's going to actually be the same line. They're going to lay right on top of each other. Okay? So infinitely many solutions. Okay, so I'm going to stop this and I'll continue on with elimination on the next video. Again, if there's anything that I need to do to help you, please let me know because I'm your homework helper.